Time now to talk about meat in Red Dead Online. We're going to go over the lower tier meat, medium tier meat, best quality meat in the game, as well as the different animals that you can find that has this meat type, as well as the price tags for the meat, and cooking your meat. No, this is not a cooking channel. I know some of you want me to have a cooking channel. Well, this is as close as it's going to get. First thing I want to talk about is the importance of seasoning your meat, whether it's for a daily challenge or at the very least giving you the best quality meat possible. So along with hunting, it's important to be a gatherer as well. You want to go out there, pick up plants and herbs, but the three that you definitely want to look for is mint, oregano, and creeping thyme. Mint will boost the health of your meat whenever you're consuming it. Oregano is for stamina, and creeping thyme is for deadeye. So bear that in mind anytime you happen to see a daily challenge come up that says cooked a certain number of seasoned meat for whatever this meat happens to be, whether it's exotic bird meat, pork, big game meat, prime rib joints, plump bird meat. Whenever it says seasoned, that means you're going to have to cook it either with mint, oregano, or thyme, depending on which one you happen to have and which one of those cores you want to boost. Personally, I prefer boosting the health core, which you can obviously do by cooking your meat with mint. Now, not all the meats can be seasoned, especially the lower tier meats, which we're going to get into right now. So these are the meats at the bottom, the cheapest meats. Now, I still recommend hunting these animals, varmints and rodents, because their body parts do pile up in your satchel, and you can end up making a lot of money at the butcher by hunting all the animals in Red Dead Online. But always make sure that you're using the right tools, the right weapons, like varmint rifle for the rodents, as well as the bolt action or whatever other rifle you prefer for the bigger animals in the game. So, starting things off with the stringy meat. By the way, the stringy meat cannot be seasoned, and stringy meat includes a lot of the smaller animals in the game, including a variety of rodents like rats, muskrats, possums, raccoons, armadillos, etc., along with snakes. Even though snakes are technically a reptile, it still gives you stringy meat. Stringy meat will only fetch you 25 cents a piece at the butcher, but with all things, it does add up if you're hunting a lot of the rodents and snakes that happen to be scurrying around Red Dead Online. Next is gamey bird meat, which can also not be seasoned. This is a lot of the birds in the game, but not all the birds. So the birds that produce gamey bird meat include the small songbirds, like cedar waxwings, sparrows, crows, along with some bigger birds like egrets, cranes, ravens, loons, herons, spoonbills, just to name a few. They give you gamey bird meat. At the butcher, you can sell gamey bird meat for 25 cents a piece. Next is the reptile meat. This is basically reptile meat, which can also not be seasoned. Now, for whatever rhyme or reason, snakes are not part of reptile meat. I don't know why. It does not make sense, but that's Rockstar for you. The reptiles that are part of reptile meat include iguanas, Gila monsters, as well as frogs and toads. And in order to get the meat out of frogs and toads, you have to go into your satchel, you have to find your frogs and toads and other small animals, like squirrels, for example, fish, in order to break them down. But unless you're doing a daily challenge, I highly recommend you not break down your animals, because you're going to get considerably less money from the smaller animals. So just sell the frogs and toads as is. Don't bother breaking them down. And obviously you're going to get reptile meat from iguanas and Gila monsters. Reptile meat will get you 25 cents each at your butcher. So those are basically your lower meats, stringy meat, gamey bird meat, along with reptile meat. Moving up now to the mid-tier meats includes mutton. You can find mutton on goats, sheep, bighorns, and rams. Mutton can be seasoned with mint, oregano, and creeping thyme. And you can sell mutton for 30 cents a piece at your butcher. Next is the plump bird meat. These are found on several different bird types, including turkeys, Canadian geese, chicken, and yes, the plump bird meat can also be seasoned with mint, oregano, and our creeping thyme. And you can sell your plump bird meat at the butcher for 40 cents a piece. Next is the pork loin. Pork loin obviously found on all the pigs throughout Red Dead Online. Domesticated pigs, boar, peccary, or as I like to call them, javelinas. You can get pork from them. They can also be seasoned with mint, oregano, and thyme. And you can sell pork at the butcher for 45 cents a piece. Next is the prime beef joint. This is for all the bovines in Red Dead Online, which include the cows, bulls, ox, as well as bison. Yes, these can also be seasoned with the mint, oregano, as well as thyme. And you can sell the prime beef joint at your butcher for 45 cents. Now we're moving up to the top tier meat in Red Dead Online. This is the absolute best meat you can get in the game. And I also like to cook some of the meat, so I don't always sell the meat. So a lot of this meat, I will probably keep a few pieces and cook it in order to consume at a later point to boost my cores. We're starting things off with the mature venison meat, which includes deer, buck, pronghorns, elk, as well as moose. Obviously, you can find these animals throughout the map of Red Dead Online. Mature venison meat can also be seasoned with mint, oregano, and thyme. And you can sell mature venison meat at your butcher for 60 cents a piece. Next is game meat, which is rather interesting because it involves ducks, rabbits, and pheasants. One of those three animals doesn't really relate to the other two. Now, for the record, this is not a 100% list, so there may be other animals that I'm leaving off that you can also get game meat from. But as far as I know, these are the three: ducks, rabbits, and pheasants that will produce you game meat, which can also be seasoned with mint, oregano, as well as thyme. And you can sell your game meat at butchers for 60 cents. Next is exotic bird meat. As far as I know, the only bird that I've come across that has exotic bird meat is pelicans. For the record, if there's any animal I'm leaving off that also produces one of these meat types, feel free and leave it below in the comment section. So if you ever need exotic bird meat, whether it's for a daily challenge or you just want the best quality bird meat in the game, you got to go after pelicans, which can usually be found in around the Saint Denis area along the Lanahatchee River, just north of Saint Denis. So pelicans, exotic bird meat, that will fetch you 60 cents a piece at the butcher. And the best quality meat in Red Dead Online is the big game meat, which include most of the big predators: bears, wolves, cougars, as well as gators. Gators is the easiest of the predators to take out because for the most part they're just sitting around the swamp and north of Saint Denis, same area where you're going to find a lot of wildlife, including the pelicans with the exotic bird meat. That area is definitely great hunting grounds, especially for people that are trying to make money and grind in Red Dead Online. So big game meat, bears, wolves, cougars, gators, that can also be seasoned with mint, oregano, as well as thyme. And for each piece of big game meat, it'll fetch you 75 cents at the butcher. Now, as a bonus, I'm also going to include fish. I know in real life we don't technically consider fish to be a meat, but some of you are probably curious about this as well. As far as I know, there's at least 3 different fish meat types: gritty, flaky, and succulent. And this will come up during daily challenges. And a couple of fish for each one include bluegill. So for gritty fish meat, if you ever need gritty fish meat, catch bluegill, which are the cheapest fish in the game. You can sell bluegill for 75 cents at the butcher. The only reason for you to break down fish is to do a daily challenge if you ever need to cook seasoned flaky fish or succulent fish. By the way, gritty fish meat cannot be seasoned. I advise you to never break down bluegills because they're only going to fetch you 75 cents. If you decide to break down a bluegill, all you're going to get for each piece of greedy fish meat is 25 cents. So basically, you're losing 75 cents by breaking down a bluegill. Next is flaky fish, which include the pickerels, rock bass, smallmouth bass. Those fish will normally fetch you $1 at the butcher. And if you break down flaky fish, it goes from $1 to 40 cents. Once again, do not break down fish unless you need to cook the fish. And finally, succulent fish, which will probably appear on daily challenges. And whenever that does, yeah, you unfortunately have to break down the fish in order to get the succulent meat, in order to cook the succulent meat, especially if you have to season it. Make sure you season it, by the way, because yes, succulent meat can also be seasoned with mint, oregano, and thyme. And 2 of the fish that you can catch to get succulent meat from, including trout as well as sockeye salmon. Normally, you get about $2.50 for a trout and or a sockeye salmon, but if you're breaking down the fish, only do it for a daily challenge, because if you break it down to try to just sell the meat, all that succulent fish meat is going to get you at the butcher is 60 cents. For the most part, breaking things down doesn't really help you out financially whenever you're selling off things that you have been hunting in the game. So there you go, all the different meat types as well as some animals of each meat type, seasoning them, as well as the price tags you will get for the meats at the butcher, the lower tier, mid tier, as well as top tier meats in the game. Hopefully this meat guide proved beneficial and informative to you. If it did, a like would be very much appreciated. And what is your favorite meat in the game? Or did I miss an animal that produces one of these meats? Feel free and chime in below in the comments section.